June 19th falling on a Sunday this year, so today marks the second annual official Juneteenth federal holiday commemorating the emancipation of enslaved African Americans following the Civil War. Let me bring in now Georgia Congresswoman, there she is, Nikema Williams, joining me now from Atlanta. Good to have you back. It's our second official Juneteenth federal holiday. And I know there are numbers and polls out there that show that there is an increased awareness of people who have heard of or familiar with Juneteenth. But are we still working to make sure this is and feels like an American holiday and not just a holiday for Black folks?
So, TJ, what I saw in Atlanta this weekend were people coming from all across the city celebrating together, multiracial groups celebrating, and that's what we want. We want this to be an American holiday, and that's exactly what we're working towards 1 year in.
How does it feel to you now, 1 year in? I think we have a graphic here that shows it, but we only have 18 states. It's only been a year, so maybe I should start with that caveat, but only 18 states. We're showing the ones that have not, but have made this a state holiday in which the state employees could get a paid day off. What do you think when you hear those numbers? Is it just going to be a matter of time before they all get on board?
It's absolutely just a matter of time. If you think back to the early 80s when the Martin Luther King holiday was made, states didn't get on board instantly, and we signed it the weekend of last year, and so it's taken some time to get state laws changed, but we're working on that. But we also have other things that we have to work on around Juneteenth, and you mentioned the educational piece, and we have to work on that exception in the U.S. Constitution, TJ.
Now, I want one more thing before we get to the Constitution here. You don't find it's just a matter of time. You don't think it's necessarily any resistance? Are you seeing any real resistance out there in terms of the states against making this a state holiday as well? Or, as you say, it's just a matter of time?
Oh, I am absolutely sure that there's some resistance. When I was in the state Senate just 3 years ago, I filed legislation to make Juneteenth a state holiday here in Georgia, and I couldn't even get a hearing on the bill. So I was thrilled to get to Congress and then be able to be one of the members who was able to vote on this to make it a federal holiday. So there's absolutely some resistance, but we keep moving and keep working in this country because we understand that we want to recognize our freedom in this country that was for far too long held back from us.
All right, let's talk about freedom now. And there's a loophole to that freedom that I want to put up for folks here. The actual text of the 13th Amendment, which you said needs to be changed. It actually says that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States. Now, to you, that reads that folks could still be subject to slavery or involuntary servitude if they are criminals, and you believe this should be changed. Do you really think that still leaves would you call that still a loophole to possibly still slavery in this country?
It's not what I think, TJ, is what I know. The Constitution has that one exception clause, and we need to get rid of that exception. We need to end the exception and abolish slavery once and for all in this country. There are over 2 million incarcerated individuals in the United States right now that are subjected to this clause in the Constitution. And if we truly want to live up to the ideals of what Juneteenth means, we need to abolish this exception in the U.S. Constitution and end slavery once and for all. There are still 5 states in this country, Georgia, my home state is included, where if you're incarcerated, you can still be forced into labor for 0 pennies. We need to do something about this. There's a growing tide of people across the country. Alabama has this on their ballot this year. It passed their legislature unanimously in the state house and the state senate, and it's going to go before the voters this year. Deeply red states like Utah and progressive states like Colorado both have gotten rid of this in their state constitution, and it's time that we do this for every state in the country.
And Congresswoman, there are states where prisoners do work and they do get a wage. It's still almost 50 cents an hour, if you will, or less. Do you think that should go away as well, or do you believe there's actually maybe a wage that's okay for prisoners to have while they're in prison?
So this is about forced labor, TJ. So I know that there are states where prisoners volunteer to sign up for programs so that they can get early release and so that they can gain skills. And that's not what we're talking about in this case. What we're talking about is forced labor where people that are incarcerated in this country are sent out and forced to do this work by virtue of losing their rights because they've been incarcerated. And that is slavery in this country, and the U.S. Constitution allows it. We have to understand where this came from. It was so that black men could be rearrested and put back into the fields to do the work of people that once enslaved them for loitering or for any minor infractions. People were arrested, and then all of a sudden they didn't have to be freed in this country, and that's what we're addressing.
You know, I know everybody knows it's pretty difficult to get the Constitution changed, but why is this so important for you to lift that language out of the Constitution?
So it is difficult to get the Constitution changed, but I have a bipartisan group, a bicameral group of legislators that are leading this charge with me. I mean, I don't know what the woman representing Atlanta, Georgia, and a man representing Utah have in common, but we are working together, Representative Chris Stewart, to get this done. And so this is bipartisan legislation. I have 140 co-sponsors, and the number is continuing to grow.
A man in Utah, a woman in Georgia. I'm sure there's a lot that you have in common if we just stop and calmly talk to each other sometimes, right? But last thing here, I know we're only a year in. What's your hope for Juneteenth in the future?
My hope for Juneteenth is a celebration for the entire country because it recognizes the freedom of everyone in the United States. Happy Juneteenth, TJ.
Happy Juneteenth to you. Congresswoman Williams, it's always good to have you on the program. Thank you so much, and please keep chatting it up with the folks in Utah, all right?
Thank you.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.